So yesterday we did this counter application, and I'll run it again one more time so that you can see what we build it. And so let me run that yesterday's application. So you will see 0. When I click add, we are getting the blue color and the number is increasing. And when I subtract, I'm getting the different color and the numbers are decreasing. And if I say reset, it's going to 0. Now same thing now, today we will build in the React.js. So this is your first React application. I will be doing it now. So before we do anything, let's go to the React.js folder and inside the project0001. I hope everyone in this folder, and then you have to run npm start. Just run the npm start and we will compare our page with each other. So before I write anything, let's compare the page that both should look same. Okay, everybody should run this npm start, and it will take few seconds, few minutes to start. Okay, since my port is maybe taking already, I will, let me see, where is it started? Okay, yeah, maybe it's running somewhere else. I'll start again. So when I build this thing in the React, it may take 1 or 2 days. It will not be done. Like yesterday, we completed this in 1 day. And so, but for with the React, because many things are new, it may take 1 or 2 or 3 days maybe. So let me start the React URL. Okay, it started. So everybody seeing this screen? Anyone who is not seeing this screen, let me know. Everybody seeing this screen? Okay, what one only how is saying yes. Any other person who has seen the screen, or you are not run the npm start? Still loading. Okay, I'll wait a couple of seconds. I want everyone should see this before I go further. Okay, so now let's go further. You should do as I am doing, otherwise you will be lost in the project. Now I'll open this folder where my React.js is there. It is inside the React.js, inside the project1 folder. I'll go to the source folder, and you will see inside project001 folder, we have different folders like node modules, public, source, git ignore, package, readme, yarn. These are the files and folder already in the React application when we install. We will learn more about what exactly is the node module folder, what is the public folder, what is the source folder, what are these files. But right now, you don't have to put stress on those all things. Let's try to build this counter application in the React.js. So to build this counter application in React.js, I will go to the source folder and I will open the app.js. In the app.js, you will see some code is there. Just delete. I'll just delete the content in it, and I'll also delete this. I will only keep the div tag, and also I'll delete top both lines of the code. Okay, and instead in the top line I will put this line as it is. I will say import React from React. So I'll just say this one, and inside the div tag I will just say hello world. So these three changes I will do, and then I will see how my page looks now. So if I go to my page, you will see hello world looks like this one, hello world, and I don't see any other thing. So page is changed to this text, hello world. So now you also do this. Open the app.js in your project1 source folder and just make a div tag with hello world, and just in the top put this statement, import React from React. And once you're done, let me know. I'll go further. Okay, Vinay is saying done, working fine. So you should see a hello world. Okay. So let's start building this counter application. So I have to create a div with the class container. So same thing I will do here. I'll create a div with class. Here in the React, you don't have to put the class, you have to put the class name. So you have to just change class with the class name. So when you have the class in the normal HTML file, like this class will be changed to class and capital N name. So you cannot put only class, you have to put class name, and you have to put whatever you have to put, you can put here. Container. Okay, so we put class name equal to container. Here we have the class of container. Then we have the div of the counter div. So let's create another div here. Div with the class name of counter div. So I'm just copying what I did for what I did for this counter application, same thing I'm copying here, but I'm writing it manually. Then we have the h1 tag, counter application, and I will close the h1 tag. So we have the h1 tag. So everything is now in the JavaScript. So in the React, in the HTML, we put everything in the HTML, and we have the JavaScript separate. But in the React, we have the JavaScript file, and we put HTML inside the JavaScript. We will learn more about the theory of all this thing, but today I don't want to concentrate on that part. We'll just build the project, and I will try to explain everything related to this project. So we are putting HTML inside this return statement inside the function app. This is how we do in the React. So I put the h1 tag of the counter application. Then what we have? We have the HR tag. So let's put the HR tag after this. As soon as I do it, I can see on the page, I am able to see the changes on this page, HTML page. So let's put more content. Then we have the div of buttons, and then we have the 3 buttons. So let's create div of the buttons. Div class name equal to buttons. So remember, we cannot put class, we have to put class name. And inside this div, I will create 3 buttons with class name equal to subtract, and then I'll create another button with class name equal to reset. So don't try to type when I'm typing, try to understand what I am saying, then I will give you time to type it. If you type as I am saying, then you will not understand what I am trying to explain it. Okay, so when I'm explaining, just concentrate on the explanation which I am giving you. And after I'm done of my explanation, I will ask you to type it in your computer, then you type it. Otherwise, you will not learn the things as I want to teach you. So here I will say reset button. But now just pay attention here. When I say I'm done with this part, you do it, then you do it. Then I will create another button. So many students, what they do, they just start typing to save the time. They do it along with me. Then you will not understand the things. Maybe now you will understand, but when things become complicated, you will not understand. So just wait when I'll tell you when to write. And then I have add button. So we have 3 buttons: subtract, reset, and add, as I see here. And here you will see everything in the class. And here I have put everything as a class name. So I cannot put class, we have to put it as class name. And subtract, reset, add. We subtract, reset, add. So the look wise, it's same what I did here in my normal JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript. If we see, we have 3 buttons. Though the spacing is little different here, but we are not concentrating on the CSS part here. So we just want to see how it looks. So there is one more thing, div of count 0, which I missed here. Let me put that. So I'll say div of class name equal to count. Right now I'll put 0 here as similar to this one, 0. Let's check it here. So I can see 0, though you cannot see on the extreme left side, it's touching the left border. Let me give some spacing. Let me give some spacing so that it does not touch it here. So maybe I'll go here in the index.css. It's saying body margin 10. I'll give 20 pixels so that I can see the 0. Okay, so don't worry about the CSS part here. Okay, so I just keep the margin on the left side, but that is not needed because we are not doing the CSS class today. We are just trying to understand how the React works. So if you have put margin, it's okay, otherwise not. What I did to put the margin, I went to the index.css and I put in the body tag, I put margin equal to 20. So don't worry about all the CSS part here. Okay, so we are done with the HTML part. Now we will put the JavaScript part. Before I start putting the JavaScript code here, just write down this one. Now it's time to type it. Do not type when I'm explaining. That way you will not learn the basics. So now you type it and let me know when it's done. Then I will start with the JavaScript part. So once you're done with this, check in the browser if it looks like my HTML page. Okay, so yeah, so remember whenever I explain the things, you should not write down, because you will not understand the things. This is simple application. You may you may uh, you know understand it even if you write down, but when things go complicated, you need to understand the things. Okay, so don't write down till I say. So I hope everybody has finished writing this HTML part. Now we have to work on this JavaScript part to make it workable. So first thing which I want to do is I need to I need to whenever these buttons are clicked, I need to call some function. So I need to make the function like here. Here what happened? What I'm doing, I am saying buttons dot add event listener. So that means when someone tries to click it, what they are trying to click the button, then we are doing some stuff here. Same thing in the React, we have to do similar thing, but it will be different way. So when someone will click this button, any of this button, I need to call a function. So when I have to call the function, when someone will click it, then someone will click it. So here in this div tag, the buttons div tag, I will say on click. What I will say on click equal to, and I will start with the curly bracket and end with the curly bracket. Now in this on click, I have to call the function, and I will name the function as handle click. What I can name anything, but right now I am naming the function handle click. And since this function is not there in this page, so I am getting this error here. Handle click is not defined. So we have to create this function. Now let's create this function. Now when I'll go before this return statement, and here I will call the constant handle click. Now here I have to create the function. Now the creation of the function has to be done in the ES6 mode. So let me explain how I will write the function here. So everybody know how to create the function in JavaScript. We create the function in JavaScript like this way. This is one of the way. Another way to create the function is I will create a variable x equal to, I can say function, and then I start with the curly bracket. So this is another way of creating the function in JavaScript. But in the ES6, we will change this pattern of creating the function in a different way. What change I will do? I will delete this function keyword and I will put here arrow here. So instead of putting the function, I will change the format of the function to this way. I will delete the function name and I will put arrow between these, and this is also a normal function in ES6. ES6 is the new version of JavaScript and they have the different syntax. So what I will do, when I create this handle click, I will have to create a function. So to create a function, I will use the ES6 version of the creation of the function, and that is this way. So I will create this open bracket, round bracket, and then I will put equal sign, greater than sign, and the curly bracket. So this is the function in the ES6 version. Okay, so I created this function and I call this function here on the on click. And if you see in this version vanilla JavaScript, I want this E to be passed. So here in this one I will pass E here. So this is all parameters of the function will go here. And what I will do inside this curly bracket, I will check what E is there. So I will do the console log of E. So what will happen when I will click any of this button, because of the bubbling effect, this handle click will be called and handle click will pass the event, which I will see what event is coming here. So let's see if my button, submit button is working fine. All this subtract, reset, add button is working fine. And if it is working fine, you can write the code till here. Let me check on the browser. So I'll open the console.log. Okay, let me refresh. I am seeing some error. Okay, error is gone. Now when I click add button, you will see I am seeing the event, and event is nothing but whatever we saw with the normal JavaScript. I go into the target. Inside target, I can see the class name is add, similar to what I get it before. If I click subtract button, I'll go inside the E, and there I'll go inside the target. 1 second. Okay, so let me click the subtract button again. Let me click subtract, and you will see I'll go to the target, and inside the target I will see the class name of the subtract. So that means the bubbling effect is working fine, working correctly, and I'm able to, whenever I click the subtract button, I'm able to call this handle click on the parent div, and in the handle click, which function I created here, I'm able to see the event, and event is nothing but it's a subtract or add or reset. So what I did here, I created a function. Where did I call this function? I call this function in the on click of the button. Why I click on the on click of the button? Because I want to, whenever someone clicks subtract, reset, add, I want the bubbling effect, and I want to use the parent div to access what is clicked inside it. So now you add this function and create this function, and let me know when it's done, and then we will go further. This is called the arrow function. So normally we have the function like this in JavaScript, and this is the arrow function. This is called the arrow function. Okay, hope arrow function is clear, but we will talk more about arrow function as I do the React more in the class. So this is the one way of the arrow function, but there are some shortcuts also which I want to explain, but that will be later in the class. So just remember, this is the arrow function, which we need to understand and which we have to use in the React. And I created the function with the name of handle click, and I call this handle click here on the on click of this button. So let me know once you are done with this part and this part. And check, once you click the button, any button, are you able to see the console.log? Are you able to see the target properly like this? Go to E, go to target, go to class name, and see if add is coming correctly. When you click subtract, check if subtract is coming correctly. Here I am getting subtract. In the class list also I am getting subtract. In the class name also I am getting subtract. So finish this two part, this part and this part. Let me know when you're done with this, writing the function and this part. And check it on the browser, whatever I told you. If all things are working, then we'll go further. Okay, so most of you have completed this part and this part. Now what we have to do, we have to use this similar concept of if taking this target. So let me take this one here. So I will say if e dot target dot what we have class list dot contains class list. Let's see the spelling. Yeah, class list dot contains. And if it is subtract, I have to do something. I have to do something. What I have to do, I will tell you. Right now, I'll put only console.log. and then I will also check. I can use if, three different if, or I can also use else if. Both are same because at one time you will click only one button. Dot contains reset button. I will just console.log right now. Then I will show you what I'm doing. Now else if I'll say e.target.classList dot contains add. I will do console.log of add. So I put three if condition. That is, if subtract is there, do subtract. I'm just doing console.log right now, but I will write down the more code now so that this 0 should be updated to 1, 2, 3. So right now I just put if condition to print add, subtract, or reset. So if I click subtract, I'm getting subtract. Reset, I'm getting reset. Add, I'm getting add. So you also finish this part. Put the if condition and just put console right now and see if it is working. And then we'll see how to update this 0 value to particular value. Yesterday's class is there in the JavaScript playlist. So if you go to the Telegram group, so this is the Telegram group. Go to this pinned message, and there is a past videos. If you go to past videos, you will see in the browser. I'll show you in the browser. This is the list of all my past videos. So if you want to go to the yesterday's video, you have to go scroll down, and this is on the 29. That is yesterday's counter application is there. You can go through here. So whatever I do, I will put it here. You can watch it here. Let me know once this is done. So what we did, we created this HTML part, and I have this button. On clicking of the button, I call the function, and this function is created here, and this function will check if the target is subtract, then it will do console.log of subtract, and it will check if it is reset, it will do the console.log of reset, and if it is add, it will do the console.log of add. So depending on what you want to do, you can put the if else condition. Let me know once this three part is done, then I'll go next part. Okay, now the most new part which I will be showing you is how to update this 0 number. How to update this 0 number, I will explain you now. So this is something new. You have to pay attention in this part, and this is something you will feel strange because this is not the normal JavaScript. This is something different. Okay, so look here, pay attention. So I have to update this 0 value to 1, 2, and 3, whatever user has clicked the button. In olden days, that is in normal JavaScript, we just update this count.innerHTML, this part using the count.innerHTML. But this is not the right way to do in the in the React application. So in the React application, we need to create a variable, and we need to update that variable, and that once we update that variable, it will update this value. So to create the variable, I have to create the state variable. The variable which I will be creating is called the state variables. What it is called? State variables. Now how to create the state variables? Now to create the state variables, I have to use the constant as a keyword. Constant as a, any variable can be created with this one. And then I have to start with the array-like structure. And in the array-like structure, I have to give the variable name. Since this is a count, I will give the name of the variable as a count. So inside this array, I will create a variable with the name count, comma. And I have to give another name to update this variable. So for example, we have the count. I will make another variable name as set count. So if you have here number, you can create second one as set number. This is not a hard and fast rule, but it is easy to remember what we are doing. So right now it is a count. So I will make the second name as set count. First one is a variable, and the second one is the function to update the first value. And I will assign it to react.useState. Since we are creating state variable, therefore I have to say react.useState. And inside the useState, I have to give the default value of this variable. So I'll put 0 as the default variable. Right now you are seeing 0 here, but when I will update it, I cannot update directly 0. I need to update the variable. So to update the variable, I created this line of statement. Let's go again with this line of statement, because this is very important to understand how the state variables are created. To create the state variable, I have to put the constant as a name, and then in the array like structure, I have to put the count as the first name, first parameter count, and the second parameter is the set count. So the first parameter is the variable, and second parameter is the function to update the variable count. So for example, if I have a 0, if I want to update the value of count to 1, I will call this function and I will update it. So how to do that, I will explain you later. And I will put equal sign, and I will say react.useState, and here I will put a default value. Okay, so now tell me, what is this? This is a variable. What is this? This is a function to update this variable. And what is this? This is a way to define the state variables. And what is this? This is the default value of the variable count. Is it clear? I will ask again. This is the line to define the state variable. Now what is this? Tell me. What is this? This is the variable. Right. Right. Variable. What is this?
Function.
This is the function to update this variable. What is this?
That is the way of to define the
state variable. That is the way to define the state variable. And what is this?
Default value. That is the default value.
Right. This is the default value of this variable. So right now I am showing it 0. If I want to show the default value of 0, I have to use this variable instead of this 0, because this 0 is the hard-coded value. This has nothing to do. This will not work. This is only the hard code value. But if I want to show this default value like this one, this 0 from here, maybe I can put default value 100, so you will see the difference. So I want to show default value here in this place where I have this count. So I have to use this variable. So how to use this variable? I will remove this 0, and I will start with the curly bracket, and then I will put the variable name and I will close the curly bracket. So what I did, I started the curly bracket and I put the variable name this count and I in the curly bracket. So now what is happening, when I load this page, this count will get the default value of 100 and this count is displayed here at this point, at this place. So we are displaying this count here at this, and what is the value in it? Value will be 100. So when the page will load, I will see 100 here in this point of the HTML code. So let's see our HTML page and see 100 is coming. So now see 100 is coming. Now how 100 is coming? Because of variable count. And where did I define the variable count? I defined the variable count here. And what value I gave default is 100. Tomorrow if I want to 10, if I want default value 10, I can change it to 10 and then 10 will come here in this place. Let's put the 0 as a default value as before, and you will see 0 here as initial value of it. So the state variable are the variables which can be changed in the course of the program. So that means if you want to change some variable value, you always have to put it in the state variable. And right now I'm taking the numeric value of the state variable, but it can be string, it can be array, it can be object, it can be anything, whatever you want. So what I did, I created the state variable. Why I created state variable? Because I want to update this. When someone will click subtract, I want to delete this count from 0 to -1. And when someone will click add, I want to update this count to +1. And that is the reason I created the state variable. I have not created variable for any other thing because no part of this program will be updated except the count. Only the count will change. Therefore, I created the variable count as a state variable. So before I go further, just write down this line of statement and let me know once you're done. So also put this line of the statement and also put this variable here count and see if it is working fine. Change the default value to something different and see if count is updating with a different value. So now let me explain this thing again because this is very important. I created this program that I want a counter application and I want something to get updated, change. Since I want to change the value of this count, I created a state variable with the count and I created another name as a set count, another part or another parameter as a set count, and we did this. I created the react.useState with the 0 as a default value. Okay, so this is the way we create the state variables in React. And now to use this count, I use this count variable here in this my div tag. Okay, so this is the div tag. I use this count variable in my div tag. So whatever value I have this one, I will be showing this count value here. Now to update the count value, right now the count value is 0. To update the count value, we have created this function. And this is the function which comes as a second parameter in this array-like structure. And this function, if I call, it will update the value of the count. For example, I will call this set count here in the subtract part. I will call this set count, and I will say whatever the value of count is there minus 1. So what is the current value of count? It is 0. When I click the subtract button, I am calling this function, and this function will update the value of the count. So whatever I pass in this as a parameter, this will be updated with the count value. So what I am passing here, count minus 1. So whatever value of the count was there, it will subtract 1 and it will pass here as a parameter to the set count. So when this function will run, it will decrease the count value from 0 to minus 1. And similarly, if I want to update this reset value, I will call again this function set count, and I will name it, I will put it as a 0 because I want default value as a 0. So whenever I call the reset button, I will call the set count with the value of 0. Similarly, when I call the add button, I have to call the set count function with the value of count plus 1. So when I say count plus 1, whatever value of count is there, I will add 1 to it and I will update the set count. So now, whenever I click the subtract button, it will go inside this part and it will call the set count, which will update the value of count to minus 1. And when I call reset, it will update the count value to 0. I cannot call directly like count equal to count minus 1. This is not allowed in React. You cannot update the count directly. To update the count, we have to call the set count function. You cannot update like this way. So always remember, this count is never changeable. You cannot change it with manually because you cannot change it manually. This is the way React works. It means something. This is the internally it update. Only React has allowed to means React is allowed to change the value of count only by calling this function. You cannot call this count and update the value because React works in one of the way. It is called mutating and non-mutating data, which I will explain you later. Mutating and non-mutating data. So mutating means it is changeable and non-mutating means it is not changeable. In React, whenever we create a variable, we make it non-mutating, means we cannot change it manually. We have to change using some special mechanism. So how to change it? We create a function and this function only can change the count value. I cannot write here that make count equal to 0. This is not allowed and this will not work and it will give you error. To change the count, we always have to call this function and we have to pass the value, new value inside this parameter as a argument. So I am passing new value as an argument. Okay, is this part clear? Okay, so another question is why we can't use var instead of const. So once we move to ES6 version, you won't be writing var in any of your code. Okay, so you have to just stop writing the var x equal to 1. So you will not write var in any of your code because this is the ES6 version of JavaScript. You always have to use let or const. But while creating the state variable, you have to use the const. Okay, so write down this part, set count, and then we'll go further. Let me show you if it is working. So now when I click add, you will see it is adding. In subtract, it is subtracting, and reset, it is going to 0. So it is working. So just update the count value here in this each part. Previously what we were doing, we were directly manipulating the HTML to +1, right, to +1 or -1. But this is the normal vanilla JavaScript. React does not work like this way. In React, we have to use the state variable to update any value on the page. So just update these 3 values, 3 lines of the code. Is it done? Okay, so these 3 lines of code is done. These 3 lines we use to update the count value. And as soon as we call these 3 lines, it updates the value of the count, and we are seeing the count, new value count on the page. So here I can subtract the set add. So let me show you if I do console.log of count, what is the count value is there? Console.log count value is count. I'll show you what is the value of count here. So it's saying count value is 0, and when I click add, it's saying count value is 1, add count value is 2. So every time when I call the handle click, it calls the set count, and the set count will update the value of the count, and we are able to see the count here in this console.log. So that is how we use the state variable to update the variable value, and for that we create the two parts. One is the variable name and one is the function to update the variable value. This is the name which you can give anything, x and y. You can give x and y also if you want. But for naming understanding point of view, we will give something meaningful, and we will also give the set kind of thing so that we know that this is to update the value of the count. So we have done today only the part of updating the variable value, this add. But yesterday what we did also color change. We did the color change. We have not done this color change now. So putting the color part, we will do this tomorrow. So how to change the color of it, we will do tomorrow. Is it okay? Any questions on this React part?